This is the RX 580, and in today's video we're going to be seeing how it does in 2025. Now you might recognize this GPU as the GPU that I cleaned in my previous video. This is the Red Devil RX 580 8GB model. It's a pretty sweet looking card, a little on the demonic side, but I like a little spice in my GPUs. But yeah, in the previous video it was just absolutely filthy, and I went ahead and cleaned it up, and yeah, it looks a lot better for sure. And in this video we're just going to be seeing how it performs in 2025. The 580 is definitely a very well-known card. It's been around since 2017 and it still somehow plays games. Of course, it's not the best GPU in the world, but it will play a lot of recent games for the most part. Without further ado, let's go ahead and see how this GPU performs. Okay, we are in Windows and we are running the RX 580 with the latest drivers out for it, which were actually released pretty recently. So that's pretty cool. And we are on Windows 10 Pro, and the full system specs will be somewhere on the screen. I don't know where I'm going to put it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started on gaming on the RX 580. Okay, we are starting things off with some CS2, and we are playing at the 1080p resolution with all low settings besides FSR is disabled. All the games tested today will be at 1080p unless I specifically say it's not, so keep that in mind. And yeah, let's go ahead and get some CS2 gameplay in. All right, we are in a casual game. I'm just going to go ahead and see how this game performs. And the 580, it's a pretty decent 1080p esports card nowadays. Some of the Unreal Engine 5 games might be a little much for it, but I mean, I'm doing okay right now. It's doing pretty good, hovering around the mid 150s, something like that. It's a good experience so far. I keep seeing some stutters though. I think that's because of shader compilation or my internet. I don't really know. Nope. I still got them though. Oh. But yeah, so far the performance is looking pretty decent. I can actually commentate on it now because I'm spectating, but it is dropping to the lower 100 range, which I wasn't expecting. As you can see, we are pegged at basically 100% GPU usage at all times, so it's not a CPU bottleneck. In this era, we're getting really high 200s right now, and it dips below 200 here. It's not bad so far. It's probably a 144 hertz experience for the most part. You wouldn't want to do like 240 on this GPU, or you can't do 240 unless you go to like 720p. I'm trying not to get killed. Oh my god, they're grenading me. It feels pretty responsive to play though. I'm not really too angry at it, and I just died. That's my fault. That's not the GPU's fault. It does also depend on the map you play on, obviously. Not all maps are the same and perform the same, so you're just gonna have to see how different maps perform. And I'm dead. As for this map though, it's pretty good. Again, I do think you would probably want a little more performance on the lower end because it does drop to the low 100s, but I think for most people, you'll be pretty happy with this experience, especially considering it's a 2017 GPU playing a relatively new esports game. You can probably expect a little bit better performance on the competitive game mode just because there's less people on screen at once. And maybe on other maps as well, you'll see better performance. Nice molly, dude. But yeah, overall definitely playable and definitely a decently competitive experience. Just keep in mind that some stuff can drop the frame rate a little lower than you might like. Anyways, let's go to the next game. All right, we are playing some Splitgate 2 at the low settings with no FSR or any special upscaling enabled. This is one of those recent Unreal Engine 5 esports games, so I'm curious to see how it performs on the 580. But yeah, let's go ahead and see how it does. All right, we are in the game, and just off the bat, we're running in the lower 100 FPS range. Certainly a little more intensive than CS2, but still not too far off. I mean, it does depend on the map and what's going on, but so far I'm not too angry at this performance. I'm getting shot at. Let me get a split ball over here. But yeah, this is a pretty fun game. I definitely have a lot of fun playing it. Get out of here. This is a medium-sized map, so it's not really the most intensive situation in the world, but there is also a battle royale mode. I might just keep it on the arcade modes though, because that's what most people will play, I think. And on this map, I would say it's decently acceptable performance. Obviously, on any esports game, you want to have, the highest frame rate possible. And the low 100 FPS range is certainly more than playable, but unfortunately, it's not the most competitive experience. This game does have upscaling options like FSR though, so it might be wise to try that. that. This is FSR 3. We're gonna do balanced. All right, we put FSR 3 on balanced, and I'm honestly seeing like minimal difference compared to before. Doesn't really feel too different. Doesn't seem like it's performing too different. It does not seem that FSR is doing much for the frame rate, unfortunately. I thought it would. They do also have a variable resolution scaler mode, which will try to scale the resolution to what frame rate you want, so that might be an option as well. But as it stands, with or without FSR, it's still a pretty enjoyable experience. Yeah, honestly, I don't recommend enabling FSR on this GPU. At least for this game, it doesn't seem to be doing much. So instead, I'm gonna try some dynamic resolution scaling to see what we can do. I'm gonna try and get a solid 144. All right, we have the resolution scaler enabled. I don't know what resolution is scaling to, but we are definitely getting a higher frame rate. Okay. I don't think CS2 has this option, so I couldn't use it, unfortunately. And this game definitely looks a little more pixelated as well. Give me that ball back. But we are getting a more consistent, higher frame rate, which is good. So if you don't care too much about the jaggies, I guess this is an option if you want a higher frame rate. And overall, Splitgate 2 is running decently well. I would say it's borderline competitive. It's definitely enjoyable, but not the highest frame rate in the world, unfortunately. But as it stands, I'm not too angry at the experience the 580 is giving me. It's still definitely playable, and I can still have some fun, so that's good. Anyways, let's go to the next game. All right, now we are playing some Palworld. And again, we are at the 1080p resolution with medium settings all across the board. I think the 580 has a little more headroom for higher graphics, but I just want to see how this performs real quick. And yeah, let's go ahead and see how it does. All right, we are in. I do think we have to compile some shaders, so it might be a little stuttery at first, but we'll see about that. And overall, the game looks pretty decent. This is yet again another Unreal Engine 5 title, but overall, the performance I'm seeing right now isn't too terrible. I definitely think we have a little bit of headroom to adjust the graphic settings if you want a higher graphical experience. But I think these settings are good for around a 60 FPS average experience. Most people want to shoot for at least 60 in most games. I do think that so far with the 580 on medium settings at 1080p, we're doing pretty decent. And having a higher frame rate will definitely give us more room in late game when we start doing a lot more stuff. Hello, big boy. But yeah, I don't think the majority of people will be too angry at this experience. I think the settings I chose for this game offer a good balance of graphics and performance. And obviously, just like any computer or PC game, you can always adjust your settings however you like to get the performance that you like. And yeah, honestly, for an Unreal Engine 5 game, this isn't going too bad. Let me see if there's some action going on over here. Doesn't seem to be dropping too bad. Let me just punch this guy. Yeah, teamwork. But yeah, overall, pretty solid experience in this game. Let's go ahead and see how the next game performs. All right, now we are playing some Resident Evil 4 Remake at the 1080p resolution on the balance preset. And we are going to be playing one of the harder to run areas in the main story. So let's see how the 580 does. All right, we are in the game with the 580 on the balance preset, and we're doing a little under 60. It's not too far under 60. It's definitely about to heat up though. And again, we are probably compiling shaders as we play, because I did just install fresh drivers on this GPU, but we're doing pretty good so far. I would say Resident Evil 4 Remake doesn't necessarily need 60 FPS to play properly. So this frame rate is pretty acceptable with these settings. And this is also, like I said, one of the more intensive parts of the main story. So in Mercenaries or other parts of the game, you'll see higher frame rates. And our VRAM usage is still well within range of our frame buffer. This area right here usually sees the biggest drops in my experience, but it's not doing too bad. It's honestly not dropping as low as it was back there. This is one of the more optimized AAA games out there, so I'm not too surprised at the 580 doing pretty good. I definitely think you have some headroom here to up the resolution or the graphics if you want a more locked 30 FPS experience. But I think these settings with this resolution is pretty balanced, and overall, I'm pretty happy with how the 580 is doing in this game. And going into some Mercenaries, we are seeing a little bit of a higher performance. Honestly, not too dissimilar to what we were doing before though, so that's interesting. But definitely more than playable with this game. I would definitely more than happily play this game on this GPU. Anyways, let's go to the next game. All right, we are playing some The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. That's a mouthful. But we are playing at the 1080p resolution at the medium preset, and we're gonna see how it performs on the 580, so let's see. All right, we are playing No Return. There is a weird video effect filter being applied here just because it's part of the challenge. So I don't know if that affects performance at all, but we'll see. But as far as I see right now, we're running at the 40-ish FPS range, a little like mid 40s. This is such a weird filter. Oh God, hold on. This is a weird effect. I don't really know what to think of it. So far, it looks pretty playable. This is another one of those games where I don't think you necessarily need a 60 FPS experience. This also isn't the main story, so it might be a little less intensive than the main story, because the main story has some decently big open world areas. But I do believe the no return mode uses areas from the main game as well, so it might not be too different. I'm gonna try and get to a game mode where it doesn't have this stupid filter on it, so let me do that real quick. All right, we no longer have the stupid filter applied, so that's good. And I do know that this is definitely an area from the main game, and we are dropping to the 30s a little bit. You do have the option of using some upscaling if you want in this game, or lower settings, or just drop the resolution. It really is up to you. Okay, I need to get out of here. I'm about to die. Bro's in some pain right now. And I'm dead. Overall though, I don't think that you would drop below 30 with these settings on the main game. If it does happen, you do have some headroom there. With some FSR or dropping the settings, I don't think that this GPU is bad of an... Oh, okay. What was I saying again? I don't think that this is a bad GPU for this game, and it did originally run at 30 FPS in the original console versions, so I guess this is an improvement. And yeah, this is a pretty good experience in this game. I'm getting cornered here. Please leave me alone. Anyways, let's go to the next game. Now we are playing some Silent Hill 2 Remake at the 1080p resolution with the low quality preset overall. Now this will definitely be the most intensive game we are playing today. This game is very intensive on any hardware. It's another Unreal Engine 5 game. Shocker, I know. They tend to be pretty intensive for pretty much any hardware, but especially older hardware like the 580. But regardless, let's see how it does in this game. All right, so starting off, we're in a peculiar area. Now, I actually find this area to be one of the more intensive parts of the game, despite it just being an enclosed area. I think all the lighting effects are pretty intensive on hardware. So around here, though, we're getting the mid 30s to high 30s. As far as I can see, it's not dropping too bad. This is one of those games where you would probably have a good experience just locking to 30. And it's definitely crazy that this is the low preset because it still looks very nice. I definitely think they prioritize graphical fidelity over actual, performance here, but still looks pretty good at low settings. As far as I can see here, we're not dropping below 30, which is good. And if you do want a higher performance experience, a little bit of FSR would probably help. I wouldn't be too angry playing this game at a 30 FPS cap. It's definitely doable, but obviously still not the most ideal, but it still looks really good for the low preset. All right, I decided to load up a more open area they can actually walk around in. And as you can see, despite it being a bigger overall area, it performs better than the previous one, besides the traversal stutters that happen, but that's just any hardware on this game, unfortunately. And it looks honestly pretty good at the low settings. I almost don't believe that these are low settings, because even like the floor looks good. That's crazy to me. I don't have ray tracing enabled because the 580 doesn't have ray tracing, but it doesn't look bad for screen space reflections at all. There are unfortunately some drops as you move across the map, but that's, like I said, every piece of hardware in existence, even like the 5090 would have that problem. But yeah, good experience in Silent Hill 2 Remake, if you don't mind being sub 60 and, obviously the issues that come with this game. Even at low settings, it looks pretty good though, so that's good. Anyways, let's go to the next game. All right, the final game we're gonna play is some good old Minecraft at the 1080p resolution at 12 render distance. And honestly, I'm not gonna bother turning shaders off. Obviously, you're gonna get a lot of performance without any shaders. So we're gonna start off with the Soder's Vibrant shaders on the light preset. And yes, I am using Optifine. I know you guys want me to use something else. I'm sorry. Anyways though, let's go ahead and see how this GPU performs. All right, we are in Minecraft. We have started a new world up. And as you can see, we're running at around the 130 FPS range, depending on where we're looking with this light shader pack. So it's doing pretty good. I don't think anyone would have any issues playing Minecraft with this experience. Although there are probably some people who would be like, this is unbelievable, literally unbelievable. Well, I don't care, bro. Just shut up. But yeah, the light shader pack honestly looks pretty good. I can't really complain about the nice God rays right here, and just casually walking around, seeing how everything looks. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. It seems to be pretty consistent around the 130 FPS range. Obviously, this game isn't the most intensive in the world. I'm trying to give my GPU a break, okay? Because it just had to play all those AAA games. But as you can see, it's a good experience with the light shader pack. I definitely definitely think you could up the render distance if you wanted to, or maybe even the resolution if you wanted to. Some 1440p or maybe even 4K gameplay would probably be okay. And yeah, with the light shader pack, it's looking pretty good, but let's see how it does with the Extreme VL shader pack. All right, we are back in with the Extreme VL. This is a bit more intensive, and we're still decently performant right now. We're running around the 80 to 90 FPS range, so definitely a bit lower than the light shader pack, but that's expected. It's more intensive, and it does look overall quite a bit better to my eyes, especially with the reflections. Hello, squid. Again, this is a good experience for most people, I would say, playing Minecraft. Not the highest refresh rate experience, but it's Minecraft, bro. Just play the freaking game. There are definitely more intensive games than ones I've tested, but I think the majority of games out there are still more than playable in this GPU. And seeing as the 580 has gotten pretty cheap throughout the years, I think that the 580 is a good option for people who are looking to grab themselves a very cheap but still decently capable GPU. Obviously, if you want higher performance, save out your money a little more, get something a little newer. The 580 definitely doesn't get as many driver updates as it used to. I think it took close to a year to get a new driver update for the 580, so definitely depreciated a bit. But I mean, if you want a GPU for a sibling or family member who just wants to play simple games, the 580 is more than powerful enough for those types of games. And yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with how the 580 has done on these games. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of the RX 580 in 2025. I definitely think that it's doing surprisingly well. Obviously, it's showing its age in some areas, but it's still doing pretty good. But with that, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know if you want to see more GPU performance videos like this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching.
A big thank you to all my channel members that have decided to give me their money and support my channel. I really appreciate that. If it weren't for them, I would not be making these videos, so thank you.